Next, we have Eddie Gant. Eddie is the founder of Jet Lending and one of the first HomeVestor franchise owners. With over 1,700 personal investment deals and another 3,000 deals through Jet Lending, his experience in the industry has earned him legend status among many investors, especially in Houston. Now, he is unfortunately not here today, so we had his pre-recorded. So we're going to go ahead and share that with you now.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me. My presentation today, well, first of all, let me tell everybody who I am. I'm Eddie Gant, Jet Lending, and a whole host of other companies. We're an asset-based lender based in Houston, Texas. I think most people, certainly down in Southeast Texas, know who we are. We have a great reputation. We loan on fix and flips, landlord rental portfolios, and small commercial. So I started buying, flipping houses 21 years ago. So I started putting together a presentation several years ago with my best tips. And I think I started out with my 20 best tips. And then I went to my 25 best tips. And then I'm all the way up to 40. So I've got my 40 best tips. And most of this centers around either the fix and flip or rental properties. Now, as I go through this, have a little patience with me. There's 40 of them. Some of them you're going to roll your eyes and say, okay, Eddie, big deal. Everybody knows that. But there's going to be a handful in here that everybody out there is going to sit back and think, wow, that's pretty good right there. I'm going to use that one. And we're everywhere in between. Okay. And I'll try to inject a little humor in here so you don't get bored out there. Okay, here we go. They're in no certain order. I'm just going to start shooting my 40 best tips. Buy low, sell high. Do that, and you'll be back in here next year. If you don't do that, you won't. Buy low, sell high. You do it, you'll be back. If you don't, you won't. Sounds pretty obvious, but I'm going to tell you, it is the lifeblood of the real estate investor. You'll close a whole lot more deals after you make that offer and you get a no. The seller goes, no, can't do that. Don't flinch. Don't move. That's when you dig in and get ready for negotiation. I have bought over 1,700 houses in my career. I've only had about 20, probably no more than 20. Yes, Eddie, I'll take that offer. And every time I got a yes after I made my offer, it was like, crap, pay too much. You feel that every time. So you get the no, you dig in. Now we start the real process. Here's a big one. And I'm going to try to flag the ones that I see most commonly made out there and the ones that are somewhat high impact. Don't prepay contractors that you don't know. Now, I know I probably got some contractor friends listening and they're going to get mad at me over this. But in 1,700 houses, we just don't prepay contractors we don't know. It is a recipe for you to pay for repairs twice. Okay. Here's a big one that tailgates that. When you're rehabbing a house, you or someone that works for you or your partner or your spouse or whoever visits that property at least every other day. If you don't go to the house every day or the minimum every other day while you're rehab, you will lose control of your rehab. I promise you. That's from lessons learned. Often you talk to a title company, you send your contract over there and the title company says, we can't close this. Title's messed up. Can't close it. I cannot tell you how many times, probably three figures, meaning over 100 of I delivered my contract to the title company and the title company told me they couldn't close it. The title company's got to tell me no, probably 4 times minimum, maybe more. Because my response is, all right, I don't want to hear you can't close. I want to hear, how do we legally close this? What needs to be done to close it? And I will tell you, you will close a lot of deals where you got to know from your own title company by doing that. Become an expert on your contract forms. Know everything in there. Whether you're a licensed real estate agent in Texas or not, almost all of us use the TREC forms. You are required to, you are allowed to use the TREC forms, even if you're not a licensed agent. You can do that. They are intended for the use of licensed agents, but non-licensed agents can use them. That's not my point here. My point here is you got to dig into that contract and all of the addendum forms and amendment forms and know what they say. I'm going to say I'm probably more knowledgeable than 98% of the people out there on the TREC form, and it has made my life way easier by knowing what those forms say and being able to battle other agents, when you're in negotiation and trying to get through the option period or whatever. Know your contract forms. Kind of mentioned this earlier with Chris. One of the things I've done is I try to listen to what other successful real estate folks say. There's a lot of people out there, y'all, that talk. There's a lot of people on social media that talk and put stuff. I'm going to say 80 to 90% of the posts that I see on Facebook where someone will post something simple about a contract or what to do with a title issue, I'm going to say 80 to 90% of the suggestions are inaccurate. They're just wrong. So I don't try to call people out on that. It's never been my style, but you need to, kind of evaluate what people are saying and make a decision. Does this person know what they're talking about or not? Because a lot of people don't. So the big lesson here is listen to what the people that are successful and have a good track record and that are honest are saying, and just be careful on the ones that maybe you're a little suspect of. All right, this is high impact. Sales and exit strategy. You need to know probably 2 to 3 good exit strategies. There's 7 or 8 out there. You need to know 2 or 3, and you need to know them well. You need to remember this. This is kind of a base rule that when I say this, a lot of people look at me like, what are you talking about? There's only 3 people you can sell a house to. Only 3. That is an owner occupant. That is a landlord investor or a fix and flip investor. That's it. If someone out there finds a 4th person to sell a house to, please let me know, because after 21 years, I've not found that 4th person. I was giving this exact presentation in Austin last year, and a young guy in the back of the room raised his hand, said, I got you 4th. I got you 4th. I got you 4th. And I walked up and I said, talking about a hedge fund, aren't you? He goes, yeah, that's it, hedge fund. I said, it's a landlord. It's just a big landlord, okay, that holds lots of houses, okay? But there's only 3, owner occupant, landlord investor, fix and flip investor. Who'll pay you the most? The answer is the owner occupant buyer. They'll pay you the most. Who'll pay you second most? It's the landlord investor. And who will pay you the least? And they are a distant third. They can't even see the tail lights of number 2. They're way behind. And that's the other fix and flip. So this is not an anti-wholesale presentation. So don't get me wrong. Don't get mad at me. But in my career, I've learned to sell to owner occupants or landlord investors because I want to make more money. So keep that in mind. Assignments have their place. And I would tell you when you're assigning contracts, you're gonna make less money, but there's a couple of reasons where it makes good sense. When you absolutely have no liquidity, you have small limited funds. I'm not making fun of anybody. I've been there. Okay, I was there one time. And you have zero monies to rehab and zero monies to carry the payments to your lender, then maybe you assign. And the other one is when the house is so risky, the repairs are so big for whatever reason that this is a risky deal, then maybe you look at assigning because you never want to own that house. Let someone else, you just properly disclose and you tell them what you know, but it's just too much risk to do. Then, I kind of condone assigning contracts. Otherwise, I don't assign contracts. I close on them and then I market them. When you're going through the assignment process, you're limited on who you can sell it to and you're limited on time. When you close on them and then market them for sale, and you still may be marketing to other investors. I'm not saying you close on them and don't market to other investors, but you close on them, then you remove your limits. You can market to the world on time and contacts. Okay, think about that. Advertisement for Diet Coke, I guess. Okay. All right. And that's pure Diet Coke. There's no additives in that today. Yeah, it's early. It's in the mornings, a.m. For those that know me, know I like to have a cold beer. And those that don't know me, you're welcome to buy me a cold beer sometime. Okay. All you got to do is ask. All right. There is money in junk. I learned that a long time ago. If a house is very, very poor condition, but livable or almost livable, there's a market for it. Now, tear downs, not livable, unless the dirt is really worth something. I don't play in that too much. I let somebody else have it. But if they're livable, even though they're ugly as whatever, and smells bad, looks worse, almost livable, there's money in that house. Do not walk by those opportunities. There is a huge market for that low end stuff. I assure you. Okay. Here's one for you. 30 to 40% of your sales will come from yard signs. And I've said this many days, and I've had other people say, Eddie, I got yard sign sales. I got houses. I got signs all in my yards. I'm not getting anything. And I'll say to them, who's answering the phone on those? Well, it's my wife's cousin's best friend's daughter. Well, therein lies your problem right there. Okay. It's who's answering these yard sign calls. I remember a year or two ago, I went to a buddy's house. He was having trouble selling it. And I drove up and the grass was 3 foot high, maybe exaggerating a little bit, maybe 2 foot. I didn't see his yard sign. So I got out, walked through the front yard, and I saw the yard sign laying over in the high grass. You couldn't see it when I drove up. So I called him. I took him a picture and I called him. I said, man, I love your strategy. You make the buyer get out of the vehicle at the street and walk through the grass in order to get the number off the sign. I love that strategy. And of course, I'm being smart aleck, excuse me. But my point being here, you need to take your yard sign program seriously and look at who's answering that phone call. When a buyer calls off the yard sign, they've already approved of a couple of things that you may not have their approval of if they see it elsewhere, online or wherever. They've approved of the street and they've approved of the exterior of that property when they call you. They've already approved. The only thing you got to get them passed down is the interior. Okay? Take that very seriously. All right. Here's a big one. This is in high impact. When I make an offer, let's just say I make an offer on June 1. Okay? I get a certain number of percent of acceptances from sellers at the appointment. We start following up on day 2 and we never stop. From day 2 through day 30, we get another X percent of our buys. Okay. Now, day 30 and beyond. Okay. This is the number year in and year out. It hovers around this amount. We get 40% of our deals, 40% of our deals more than 30 days after making the first offer. Think about that. 40%. That is a huge number. You never give up on these old offers. If you do, and most of you do give up on them too quick, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. Just trust me on that. Okay. Most investors fail due to blank. Most investors fail due to blank. Some of you will guess bad marketing, paying too much, false expectations, blah, blah, blah. Most investors, in 21 years, I've seen a lot of people come and go. They run out of cash. They don't manage their cash. Okay. Always remember that. Use other people's money if you have the option. Save, conserve your cash. You can never get in trouble if you got money in the bank, ever. Okay. Remember that. Okay. I think you can do this business by yourself up to 20, 25 houses a year. I don't think you need a lot of help if you're going to do it full time. But once you go over 25 houses a year, you need some help. The workload is too intense. So hire assistants to do things that either you don't like to do or you're not good at. And I'm going to tell you, in 21 years of business, that's something I've done a very good job of. Okay. I hire people around here that are good at or do things I'm not good at. Like today, technology. I'm the worst. Okay. My staff will tell you that, but I have a great staff, and that's something we fill those voids with employees and assistants. Okay. Here's a good one. So many times I walk in an investor's rehabbed property or they're near completion and the fine details are not done. Remember this. Most investors do a really good job on the first 80% of the rehab. Then they get sloppy, they get lazy, they don't finish the deal. And it's that last 20% of those finishing touches when I walk in somebody else's rehab that I'm normally very critical of. They just haven't done it to the level they need to do at the very end. 80% do a good job on the first 80%, and then they don't do a good job on the last 20% of the work. Remember that. All right. This may be as high of impact as anything I'm going to tell you. And most investors do it backwards. Don't solve title issues until you're under contract. Think about that for a second. How many times, and be honest with yourself, how many times have you gone to see a seller and the seller tells you up front, we got title problems. There are 4 of us that's inherited this. One of my brothers is dead. They've got 2 children, and you run off down the street trying to fix all of this, and you're not even under contract. And then what if you fix it? You may have fixed this for someone else because you're not under contract yet. Get them under contract, then solve your title issues. It is imperative that you do it that way. Okay. Think about these 2 responses you could give that example. You're talking to Joe, the seller. Well, Joe, I don't know. I don't know. We never close this thing. Let me see what I can do. Let me make a phone call or 2. That's one response. How about this response? Hey, Joe, we deal with it all the time. My title company is great at this. They're going to work with you hand in hand to fix all of this so we can close, but they cannot start that process till we have a contract. Let's get a contract signed. Let me get it over to my title company. They'll work with you almost on a daily basis. Don't charge you a penny unless we close, and that actually I'll probably pay for it. But let's get a contract going, and we'll fix all of this, and we'll be closing in 3 or 4 weeks. Good chance we'll be closed 3. Think about those two different responses there. What the difference is. Okay. All right. Think like a business person, not a rehabber. It's a simple concept, but I can assure you in these 1,700 houses that I have bought, I am not the expert on which paint, which light fixtures, and which countertops to put in. Okay. But I'm pretty darn good at figuring where I'm going to get my money, how much money it's going to take, what the ARV is, how long I'm going to hold it, how I'm going to market it. Think like a business person, not a rehabber. Okay. This is a big one. Home run deals where you hit them out of the park. They do not occur on MLS most of the time. They do not occur through buying from another investor most of the time. They occur in the living room or the kitchen where you're setting what I call eyeball to eyeball with the seller, the person that owns the property. That's where you hit them out of the park. That's good form. Y'all didn't know I used to be a baseball player, did you? I was looking at myself in my screen here. All right. Back to the contracts. Writing special provisions is a big deal. There's a whole series of them when you buy, a whole series of them when you sell. And you need to know this. We can teach you. We can help you. I've got a whole list of them. All right. For my title friends out there, don't get mad at me. When I read a settlement statement for the first time, what percent of them have mistakes? The answer is probably 80 to 90% of them. So you new young investors, when you get your settlement statement from the title company, don't just grab that blue pen and start signing. You need to read it and you need to look at every line item. Most have mistakes. Read your settlement statements before you sign. Okay, here's a big one. Red flag, red flag. And Chris, anywhere along here, if you think I'm getting too lengthy, I'm on number 19 right now. You speed me up, or we'll stop before we get to 40, and you can sell the last 10 for a couple $1,000 a person or something, probably. Be careful buying properties with over 65-year-old exemptions. I didn't say don't buy. I'm saying be careful. The best way to describe this is with an example. You're buying a house from little old Myrtle. She's 80s. And you're buying this house in October. Say it's October 2020. Her tax bill's $400 or $500. If she didn't have the over 65, it'd be $4,000. Okay. All right. All you get for tax prorations is $400. All right. You still own that house on January the 1st, January the 2nd. You still own it. And the big bad mean wolf down at the taxing authorities figured out that Miss Myrtle don't own this house anymore. Big bad investor does. And they change your taxes from $400 to $4,000. Good luck fighting it. I'm over 600. I'm over 56, whatever it is. I'm over. So what we try to do is we try to get the non-prorated, we get the non-exempt proration values when we buy it, so we get the full tax amount. Now, honestly, you may get some pushback. You may not be able to do it. They may object, and then you got to make a business decision. But a lot of times you get the full tax prorations. Okay, and we're talking some big money here. How do I know all this? I got the battle scars. I got $400 and had to pay $4,000. Okay, that's how I know it. Okay, so I did not say don't buy them. I'm saying be careful. Okay. When we're buying and selling a house, we communicate with our buyers and sellers every 4 days. How'd I pick 4 days? It just seems appropriate and seems good. If you go too long without talking to your buyers and sellers, they think you vacated the process on them. And they get all nervous. They get all, they go calling other people. They get upset. Call your buyers and sellers every 4 days. This is after you're under contract to buy or under contract to sell. Now, if you're under contract to sell and that agent, that buyer has their own agent, when you communicate with their agent, but communicate with your buyers and sellers every 4 days. Okay. Don't try to do too much too soon. Focus. I meet people been in business flipping houses a year, and they're off on tangents wanting to buy 100 acres and develop it and do all this fancy stuff. Slow down a little bit. Focus on get good at what you're doing first before you try to do too much. A big flaw that I see in buying houses is from a lot of investors. They don't know how to really calculate the true cost of what it costs to buy and hold a house. It costs money to buy it. It costs money to sell it, and it costs money to hold it. And that holding cost is big a lot of times, and it's real. And a lot of people, you just goes right by them of what they're going to have to pay to hold a house for 3 months, 6 months, 7, 8 months. So you need to, if you don't know how to do it, we need to teach you. Okay. I had a young investor ride with me a month or two ago. We went out and looked at the house, and I started driving around. What are you doing? What are you doing? I said, I'm going to drive the comps. Well, I know what these things were. 21 years and 1,700 houses. I still drive my comps, and you should too. You know, don't take for granted that the comps are what they are till you look at them. Okay, good piece of advice. All right, this is one that was real important years ago when we had so many appraisal issues. We're not having as many appraisal issues today as we used to, but it will come again. But we used to meet the appraisers, and we're not doing it every day now because it's not as big a factor today. But we used to meet the appraisers at the house. Okay. Now they don't want that. They want the combo of the lockbox code or the super key to get in. Well, if we've done a full-blown remodel, we want that appraiser to know what we've done. We would meet them at the front door, hand them our before and after photos and a list of our repairs, open the door for them, and let them do their thing. They don't want you there the whole time they're there. Not as a big of a factor today, but it used to be, and it will happen again. But when you meet appraisers at the house and show them the before and after photos and the things you've done, you're a whole lot better shape of meeting value than not doing that. Let me give a scenario for you. You're talking to a seller on the phone. You know the house is worth $200,000, or you think it's worth around $200,000, and that seller tells you, "I don't know anything, but don't come out here and make me a low ball offer. I want $190,000 for this house," or "You don't come out here." Well, you're not going to pay $190 for an ARV of $200, but there's equity. That will scare off a lot of investors. I only have one rule on screening houses. That's if there's equity, I go. It's simple. I want to know the other factors. I want to know the motivations, and I want to know why and how and when. I want to know all that. But I'll find that out sitting at the kitchen table or in the living room on the couch as I prepare my offer right there. I don't use that as a screening process. So if there's equity, go look at the house. Okay. Track close dates, option dates, receipt of option money, and earnest money. I could talk 8 hours on that. But you have a system and you track your deadlines and your dates, option periods and earnest monies and close dates. You got to track that and stay on top of it. Don't let those dates get past you without taking some action. Okay. Here's a good one. This one I started only a few years ago. I sold a house and our close date is January 31st. That's what it says on the contract. If they're getting a loan, the only person that determines the close date is the lender, and specifically the lender's underwriter and closing department. You don't, your agent don't, the seller doesn't, seller's agent doesn't, the buyer's agent doesn't. The lender's going to close it when they're ready. So what that means is, unfortunately, many contract dates come and go. Okay. Here's what I learned. You get a call from the buyer's agent to you, usually the day before closing or maybe the morning of close. "Hey, sorry, Eddie, we're not closing today. Lender's not ready." Well, you're not going to kill a deal just because they're going to be a few days late. You're not going to do that. But earlier I talked about that carrying cost. It's real. So this is what I've done for a few years, and I do it this way. If I try to charge them a per diem on the first time they miss the close date, I get a lot of pushback. But here's what I do. Now, I'll tell them, okay, I'll extend, and usually it's 5 to 7 days. I'll extend the first one for free. But Miss Agent, Mr. Agent, you need to know if we don't make that one, it's X number of dollars a day until we close. And when you give them the first one for free and tell them about it's going to be a per diem, and man, many times this puts an extra $200, $400, $500, $600, $700, $800 in my pocket at closing because they missed the second one. Okay, they missed the second close date, and they don't close for another 8 days. And I picked up $60 a day for 8 days for $480. So warn them on the first one, give the first one, charge them on the second one. And when you do it that way, I have found I get almost zero pushback on the second one for getting a little extra money for the trouble. Okay. All right. Rental property management, rentals. Post your 3-day notices on the 3rd day, not on the 13th day, not on the 14th day that they're late. And you do it immediately the first time, and you set the tone for that tenant. You don't do that, and they're gonna walk all over you. Okay, you move quickly on your 3-day notices to vacate, and then if they don't, then you file. Now, the practical matter is most tenants, when you do that, they start to pay. Some don't. It's not 100%, but when you do it quickly and swiftly and sternly, you set the tone pretty quick for this. I consider myself an expert in rental property management, not because I'm smart, because I have literally made every dadgum mistake you could possibly make in 21 years, and we just learn from it. Okay? All right. This is a high impact one with my tenants. We are signed up with a collection agency, and we will report them if they break the lease early or leave it in a torn up condition. And the bottom, if they leave owing us money, we turn them over. Now, let me tell you the truth. We get almost no money later from a collection agency, essentially zero. But let me tell you what it does. It sets the tone early on that this guy is serious. If I leave here owing him money, he's putting it on my credit. And our form that they sign a form acknowledging that they realize we have a collection agency, and it's in red. It's a psychological thing. It's in red. It's red letters on white paper. And it works. When we started that 5 or 6 years ago, our performance of our tenants went up. Okay? Because we have that in writing to them. Okay? This one, somebody of you going to think I'm crazy, but it's a true statement. For all practical purposes, I have almost 100% approval process with a tenant application for one of my rentals. Now, everybody, including us, on a good applicant will charge 1 month security deposit, and we do the same. But when I get these applicants that are, not paying, they have poor credit, they don't pay their bills. You may even see a judgment previously from a landlord or something. You see they got evicted. You see it. Then I will charge them 2 times deposit, or 2.5 times normal deposit, or 3 times. Take the 3 times for example. Say the rent's $1,000. So I'm getting $3,000 deposit plus my first month's rent of $1,000. They're putting up $4,000 to move in. And y'all may think I'm BSing you, but we do this, and I will tell you something. When someone's putting up 2.5 times deposit or 3 times deposit plus their first month's rent, they don't go bad. They do not go bad. They will our data shows they outperform a tenant that's got good credit. So think about that. Think about that if you're getting, a lot of applicants with really damaged credit. Think about that. Okay. When we go to rough areas, we put alarms and fences at our houses, almost 100%. I suggest you do the same. Alarms are great. Usually when you have break-ins, they live close by, okay? And we like to have alarms up in the attics that blow very loud. First of all, when they break in, they'll normally leave, but they also don't want to go 4 houses down and listen to that alarm go for hours upon hours upon hours. And that's what we do. It eliminates normally what the only damages are going to be. They kick the door in. You got to replace the door and the facing and the jamb and everything, but they don't go in and get other stuff when the alarm goes off. But when they live close by and that alarm's just blasting away up in the attic, they don't like that. They don't like that because they can hear it just a few doors down. Get a seller's disclosure on every house you purchase and read it. Okay? Especially with the history of floods in the Houston area. It will keep you out of a lawsuit later. I can talk 2 hours on this subject, but just trust me. And I talk to a lot of investors that don't get seller's disclosure from their sellers. And I'm going like, what? Why? That's a keep you out of court document. Okay? All right? Always get a seller's disclosure when you buy a property. This next one's kind of like the over 65 exemption. I'm not going to tell you not to do it. I'm just telling you be aware, be careful, be aware of well and septics, but really be aware of well and septics on small lots. Okay? It's a problem. Okay? If you're on a very small piece of dirt and it's on well and septic and you have to replace one or the other, you may be in trouble. Okay, you could get yourself in some deep trouble here because of the requirements. Okay, when you're out looking at houses to buy, and you're there we say you're there for an hour, maybe hour and a half, maybe less, maybe more. Spend 80% of your time on the seller, 20% of your time on the house. Trust me on that one. Meaning, don't overanalyze the paint and the carpet and the doorknobs and the light fixtures and the showers. Don't overanalyze that stuff. Focus on that seller. Okay, that's how you close big deals. Okay, this is as good of one as you'll ever hear. Those who've heard me speak before have heard this one before. A lot of times when in front of a live audience, I'll pick 3 or 4 people. What was the last offer you made? And I'll get 110,000, 75,000, 200,000. I go, Never make an offer with more than 1 0. Okay. You offer, instead of 80,000, you offer 81,460, 78,485. Okay. It's psychological. It works. If you make round offers, they'll think you just reached up there and grabbed that number out of the air. You offer 73,460. They'll think, wow, Eddie put his calculator to work, didn't he? That's something going. He calculated down to where he's got to be. It works. It's mental. Okay. All right. Here's a business philosophy one for you. Make all decisions, long-term decisions, except when you're in one situation. I said make all of your decisions, long-term decisions, unless you're in this situation and that you're in a cash crunch. Then you do what you have to do on your decisions, even though they may be not good long-term decisions, but you're getting cash back in your pocket so you can run your business. Okay? I've been there. I'm not going to make fun of anybody that's there. It's not good. All right. Here's one that always draws a smirk from the crowd. I love paying commissions. Love it. I'd rather pay a commission, do just about anything, except maybe drink cold beer about 5:30 that Chris Bounds is going to buy me today. Okay. If I'm paying commissions, it means I'm making money. And I cannot understand why investors won't utilize the services of whatever it is now, 35,000 licensed agents in the Houston area. It's a big number. I know it's over 20,000. It's probably over 30. Chris, you can throw in some verbiage here later if you know how many agents are in the Houston area. It's a big number. And but I love paying them commission. I want their service. I want them bringing their buyers to me. Pay commissions. Okay, here's one I've done forever. I only work half a day every day. I'll only work a half a day today. My biggest issue is figuring out which 12 hours of my half of the day I want to work. Do I want to work the middle 12, the first 12, the last 12? But only work half a day. Only work 12 hours a day. All right. This is a little more serious. Plan. And I plan weekly, usually on Sunday evenings or Monday morning, either at my home office or my office here at my desk right here in Houston, Texas on FM 1960. I'm looking at my week. People don't even know I do it. You know, Alex, my right arm around here, Johnny, my partner here, they think I'm just wailing away, not thinking about it. I plan every week. I got my list of hot priorities and medium priorities and low level, long-term stuff, maybe, and it's okay to change your plan as your priorities change. And I do that. I do it all the time. But I plan weekly, and I recommend you do too. Last one, work hard, eat right. That's the reason I look so healthy and young. I'm really 86, y'all. I only look about 40, I know. But work hard, eat right. And I love this business, and I look forward to talking to some of y'all that I don't know. I know a lot of people out there, and I don't like this COVID stuff because we can't do our meetings and get to shake hands and high five and, y'all buy me beer and all that good stuff. But maybe one day we'll get back to normal soon here, okay? I hope there was a couple things in here that somebody liked. I know some of it I was, just trying to throw in there to keep your attention. But some of that stuff's good stuff. And it's just stuff I've learned over the years. Jet lending, we'd love to loan you money to buy your flips. We'd love to loan you money to buy your rentals. And we do a lot of small commercial. You guys can reach us at info@jetlending.com or 281-872-7800 or Eddie, EDDIE, @jetlending.com. We have a great reputation. We never quit lending during COVID. I'm not going to say it's business as usual, but from February the 9th, I coined the phrase COVID Monday. That's when it all started. It was almost business as usual for us for most of the year. 2020 was a good year in real estate. I'm hoping 2021 is just as good, and I hope we get this COVID and pandemic behind us where we can, start seeing each other in person. Eddie Gant, Jet Lending. I've enjoyed it, and I hope y'all did too. Thank you.
His top tips are truly amazing. I've seen him a couple of times over the years, and he changes them. Eddie has been an unofficial mentor to Jamie and I since the very beginning. Like he was I think the first big investor I ever spoke with on the phone. I was just calling investors, networking, and he told me about Jet Lending. They funded several of our first deals, and then he was just someone that every single time he hosted an event, I was there taking notes. Doing what Matt Gardner said, like going, networking, communicating, and getting to know who's in your town, who's doing stuff, and he was one of those folks. So it's been a pleasure. I know he wished he could be here live, but I'm glad we were able to get him in for a pre-recording.